All right, welcome everybody to our second free live call. Yesterday's live call, Monday, November 11th, we had about 48, I think 50 participants in total. Tonight, we've cut out the Europe time zone because we've got a later call tonight, so we've got 16 on the call. So much more intimate, much more exclusive for you guys. So I hope you guys brought lots of questions. So the way this unfolds, this is what I call in the collective an office hours call or a Q&A call where I don't do any teaching, I don't go over any concepts. We just dive into whatever it is you guys want to talk about. We can do some clearing work, we can answer questions. So whatever you guys want to dive into, that's where we're going to go. So you guys are dictating where this call is going to go. I ask that you keep your microphones muted, unless of course you're in the hot seat and we're talking to you and you're the one that's asking the questions. If you have a question, all you need to do is, some people have a little hand icon on their screen. So all you need to do is click the hand icon, wave if you're on camera, or just type the word question in the group chat window. And hopefully I'll see you and we'll get rolling with your questions. So does anybody want to kick things off tonight? Who wants to start us off? Yeah, Isam, go ahead, Isam. Oh, you gotta unmute yourself first.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We're good now. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Nick.
Awesome.
Shout out to all the new people on the call. I've got a bunch of questions. I think I'll answer or I'll ask them a little bit later, but I just wanted to share a couple of brief bullet points about some stuff that's transpired over the past couple of days since you and I did some clearing work on powerlessness. Is that cool?
Yeah, that was in the last collective call for those of you guys who aren't collective members. So yeah, so last collective
Right.
call, we talked about attraction versus creation, and Ison brought up some issues around stuckness and powerlessness that we worked through. So yeah,
Right.
with an update.
Okay, cool. So about this time last year, my brother and I, we had a falling out and we hadn't spoken since probably about last August or September. So over a year.
Yeah.
But I was at my mother's house earlier last week, and she was on the phone with my brother, and he was like, let me speak to Isom. So we got on the phone. We had a really good conversation. It was like there was no animosity between us. And one of the things that he told me towards the end of the call, he said, you just sound much more clearer. You sound stronger. You sound sharper. And so I thought that was really cool. I also had a client release some funds after almost 3 weeks of dragging their feet. But I just released that and they sent the money, and it was, no problems. I also read about something called the Mandela effect, which is like a pop psychology theory based on Nelson Mandela. And then I read on Saturday morning, my friend who got back from South Africa gave me a gift. It was 10 Rand, which is their currency over there, had Nelson Mandela's face on it, just less than like 16 hours later.
Awesome.
Also had a prospect call me out of the blue that I reached out to them back in August. And after our clearing work, just a few days later, they reached out to me and we're getting a sales conversation started. So all of this stuff has been happening since then, very effortless. Yesterday was the first day that I woke up in alignment since July. I've been getting into alignment a couple of times a week, but that was mainly through deliberately focusing and stuff like that. But yesterday was the first time that I woke up in alignment. And I'm pretty happy because I knew exactly what I did to get there. So I'm looking forward to just
Exactly.
continuing.
That's why I tell people, that's why it's so important to look at those dominant negative emotions and work yourselves out of them, because those are the number one things that prevent you in alignment. And it's almost like it corks your receiving role, right? And once you pull that cork out, you let a whole bunch of stuff in. So well done. Oh, you're muted again. Hang on. Sorry.
Questions?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, but I'll ask them a little bit later, but definitely just wanted to give you and the group a update, a report.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
You got it.
Cool. All right. Anybody want to kick off the first question? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Very good. So one of the questions that I wanted to throw your way, let's say alignment is something you've spent some time, you realize that the cork is, you know, supposed to be afloat, and you realize that alignment is your true nature. That's, you know, that's our baseline until we take ourselves away from it.
Yeah, alignment's our natural state of being. That's where we're at when we're born.
Correct. So let's say that that's what we've realized. So after that, it just turns into getting rid of the blocks, the money blocks, and the things that stop us from following our excitement and getting to that point where we're going to make a decision, even though everything outside of us is saying no, or you can't, but making the decision anyways, pushing past that. What are some things you found to be very beneficial at that point, after you had, you know, truly realized, not conceptually, but you had truly realized that alignment was your true nature? What were some of the things that that pushed you beyond just action in general, just taking action where your past self would have said no?
Yeah, so there's a whole wide different things I can address in this topic. It's something I've talked about a lot. So there's kind of different stages of awareness when it comes to dealing with what we'll call blocks. So the first stage of awareness is believing that you have blocks, and then working your way out of those blocks, right? And that's the traditional. So, you know, the mainstream approach is ignore the blocks. So anybody who listens to Abraham Hicks thinks it's about ignoring the blocks, focusing just on what feels good, and the perception is that that's enough. And the problem with that perception is that what you'll notice is everybody's efforting their way into alignment. The only way people mostly get into alignment is through morning practices, through journaling, through affirmation, through positive aspect lists. So essentially, alignment is an efforting process for most people. And what makes alignment that efforting process are what you're calling the blocks, right? So the key isn't to push the cork up to the surface all the time and try to hold it there, which is what most people are doing. It's about dealing with the anchors that pull your cork down in the first place. And once you deal with those anchors, once you deal with those negative emotions, once you deal with what you're calling blocks, then you flow back up more naturally, and alignment becomes your natural state. It's very effortless. So that's kind of the first level. Now, something I've been teaching to the collective more recently, and something we've just started diving into probably in the last 4 to 6 weeks, is the understanding and the awareness that there are no blocks to clear, because blocks aren't real.
Correct. Okay.
Blocks don't exist. We only perceive that we have blocks. And by perceiving the blocks, we then validate the perception of those blocks through our physical reality experience. So level 1, and this is still what I do with my clients, 90% of the work, is what you call block clearing. What I would call level 2, the next depth of understanding beyond that, is understanding that there is no such thing as a block. It's the same thing as understanding that there's no such thing as lack. We're just creating the experience of lack through the belief of lack. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So it's really just you're just maintaining alignment throughout your day, and then something happens that you're believing, you're giving power to, and it's dealing with that in the moment.
Yeah.
And
the emotions that those circumstances trigger, remember,
right.
those emotions are our guidance systems. They are telling us what the perceptions are, which are responsible for those contrasts, right? So anytime you have a negative emotion triggered by contrast, what you want to do is ask the question, what must I believe is true to be feeling this way? Right? Or I feel this way because. Anytime a negative emotion comes up, that's what you want to ask. That's going to tell you what the perspective is that you're holding that's creating the contrast. And then you want to work at altering that perspective.
And being more committed to the work than reacting. Okay.
But again, I don't like the term work, because work sounds like effort.
Oh no, and when I say work, I don't mean, yeah. So it's really like I could replace work with love, you know, like
or inspired action.
Yeah. So, but being more committed to looking within than reacting from the old paradigm.
Yeah, the old paradigm
in those moments.
The old paradigm understanding is the old paradigm reaction is taking action out here to try to fix it and solve it.
Correct.
The new paradigm response is saying, okay, I created something I don't prefer. What do I prefer instead? And what do I need to change inside of me to become a match to what I do prefer?
Yep. Yep.
Cool?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, anybody else got a question, something they want to dig into? Yeah, go ahead, Alexis.
Okay, so I have one. It's like career because I do the J2D, and in the morning I find myself wobbling. Like, okay, well, I find myself wobbling, like, because it's like, okay, I want a job. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I want a job, but I don't want to leave my kids at a daycare. And it's like, okay, well, how do I find a job? And then I start going in that cycle. And it's like, okay, I need to stop. Do I need to let it go, or do I need to work?
Okay, cool. So, right now, you've got a very limited perspective, right? And the reason I'm going here is because you've been in the collective, and the approach we're taking in collective, because collective is as advanced as we can get, right? We're leading edge of the leading edge, leading edge. It's about understanding your power, right? So the self-help journey is a journey, regardless of whether it comes from law of attraction or some other angle. It's a journey to returning to your authenticity and returning to your power, understanding how powerful of a creator you really are. Abraham Hicks doesn't say you kind of create your reality or you create parts of your reality, you create all of it. And from the understanding that you are a full creator of your reality, you need to understand that you can create anything. And from the vantage point of you being able to create anything, understand that you can have your cake and you can eat it too, right? So right now you've got this split energy. So part of you's like, I want to stay home with the kids. Part of you's like, I want to manifest a job. Well, because you've got that split energy, ain't nothing going to show up, right? So what you want to do is you want to get crystal clear on the ideal outcome. Get crystal clear on exactly what you want the outcome to be. Maybe jump 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road. Paint that picture onto your new canvas, right? And for those of you who aren't familiar with my canvas analogy, so essentially you've got two canvases, right? Painter's canvases, one behind you, one in front of you. The canvas behind you, that's already painted because you've already experienced the past. So what you're looking on that canvas, it's what's already happened, it's what's currently happening. In the canvas in front of you, it's blank. That canvas is your future reality. So what you want to do is you want to express onto that future reality canvas what it is you want to create. Because it's not about attraction anymore, it's about creation. Because we're not really attracted, we are creating, right? What most people are doing is they're looking at their old canvas and they're just taking what they're looking at on their old canvas and they're just repainting it on the new canvas. Is that going to create a new reality? No, right? You need to get clear on what it is you want. You need to stand firm and understand your power. And in that power, choose the reality you want and then embody and express it onto the new canvas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. And
I'm sitting here laughing like, I get it. And then I have my days where it's like, and that's what you said. I need to get crystal clear because it's like, I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah. If you ask, are you married?
I am.
If you ask your husband to go to the grocery store and bring you back some supper, how do you know? And if you don't tell him what you want, how is he going to know what to bring back for you?
Is it?
Right? So if you want the universe to deliver your desires to you, you got to get clear on what those desires are.
Okay.
Cool?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Who wants to play and kick off the next question? Anybody? You guys all afraid?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go. Oh,
Okay. Hang
No,
on.
you go ahead. I took up some time, so you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Sophie, and then we'll come over to you, Isom.
okay. Thank you. My significant other passed away 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
and I I am grieving, and I'm mourning, I'm grieving, I'm not happy, I'm sad. It feels like there's a hole in my heart. We were living together in New York, which is where he's from, for 2 years, and we had a fight, and he sent me down to Florida. He was suffering from a lung disease, which was terminal, pulmonary fibrosis. And the day I left to go back to Florida, he told me that maybe in 6 months we would have another great run and I could come back. And he didn't discount it, and it wasn't beyond the realm of possibility. And we kept in touch with each other every day, and I helped him with all different kinds of medical stuff and what have you, even though I was down here in Miami and he was in Florida. So I just never thought that the next time I would see him again, he would be inside a coffin. And I have not done a morning practice since it happened. I'm dealing with all these emotions. I am basically broke. I owe a lot of people money because I had to get money to fly up to New York for the visitation. I've started a new job, but the money's not going to be coming in for a couple of weeks. And I know my vibration is very low, so I'm stressed and I'm in grief, and I don't know what to do. So if you could maybe shed some light, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things we can dig into and explore on this topic. Do you listen to much Abraham Hicks?
I do. I do know about Abraham Hicks. They were the ones who got me into Law of Attraction, yes.
Okay, so are you familiar with the emotional guidance scale?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Not completely, but somewhat.
Okay, you know what so what the emotional guidance scale is, it's a list of emotions based on their vibrational frequency. And when you list emotions based on their vibrational frequency, it turns out that joy is on top, and as you go down in frequency, way down to the bottom, I think shame and guilt and sadness are at the bottom. So the higher the frequency, the higher, the better feeling the emotional state is.
Right.
And what she often tells people is identify where you are on that emotional guidance scale and reach for the next emotion above it. Because if you're way down in depression and sadness, happiness is a big jump to make, right?
Right.
But maybe to take smaller steps up, it's a little bit easier. Now, I've got my own version of the emotional guidance scale.
Okay.
If you've got a pen and a paper, that's only 5 steps to make it a little bit simplified.
Okay.
So at the bottom of the scale is struggle.
Hold on, I'm going to write this down.
Sure, and I'll post it in the Alignment Academy Facebook group too.
Okay, so the bottom is struggle.
The bottom of the scale is struggle. The next step up from struggle is relief. The next step up from relief is satisfaction. The next step up from satisfaction is turned on.
Is what now?
Turned on.
Turned on, okay.
Turned on by life. For those of you who have your minds in the gutter, get it out. And then the next step up from turned on is bliss.
Okay.
So if you find yourself mostly in the state of struggle, what you want to do is try to think thoughts during the day that bring relief.
Okay.
That's your first step.
Okay.
Now, are you a book person?
Am I what?
A book person? Do you read books?
I am an avid reader, yes.
Okay. Michael Newton, Journey of Souls. That's the book that completely changed my perspective about grief, death, and dying. And I share that book with all the clients that I work with who are dealing with the loss of a loved one.
Okay.
And then third point is he's always around you. He's always there trying to guide you. You can tune into him at any time. It's just going to be a different type of interaction than him being in physical reality. And when we lose somebody like that, oftentimes we fall into grief and sadness because that's a normal thing to do, right?
Right.
As you work yourself into relief, as you work yourself into satisfaction, as you work yourself into better feeling states, you'll start to feel his presence around you and you'll start to connect with him in a different way.
Right. I mean, I hear his voice throughout the day and I get signs daily. For example, he worked for AAA for 36 years, and today I was driving home from work, and what do I see? A AAA truck.
Yes.
Things like that. Things like that.
Yeah. And the biggest perspective shift that you're going to need to work through is shifting yourself out of perspective of loss and shifting into a perspective that things are better and they're going to get better.
Okay. It's not so much a loss. It's keys, for example. That's a loss. To me, it's an absence. It's
Yes.
a deep and profound absence.
Yes. And Abraham Hicks' response to that is he's just as present as he's always been, perhaps even more present, just not from a physical vantage point.
Okay. Okay.
And I know it's easier said than done when we're grieving the loss of a person. But your very first step, again, is just start working your way into relief and being open to new possibilities showing up.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Okay. That sounds good. I can do that. I can do that. It might take a little bit of work, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, and just take one moment at a time, right? So somebody who tells me they want to be happy for an entire year, I ask them, well, how do you become happy for an entire year? Well, you become happy 12 consecutive months. How do you become happy for 12 consecutive months? Start with 1 month. How do you get happy for a whole month? 1 day at a time. How do you get happy for an entire day? 1 hour at a time. You can't control the happiness you're going to experience in 6 hours from now. You can only control the happiness you choose in the moment that you're in. So just practice how many moments of relief can I experience right now? How many moments of happiness can I experience right now? And over time, that'll become a habit, and it'll become easier and easier to do.
Okay.
Sound good?
That makes sense. That does sound good. It makes sense. Yes.
Good. Yeah, I like
it.
It
Does
when
make
it
sense.
makes sense. And the last thing, and this is a good suggestion. Thank you, Cody, who's on my collective member. She suggested meditating. So if you don't meditate, I'd suggest 10 to 20 minutes of meditation every day if you can.
Okay. Okay. Meditate. Any suggested technique or?
Listen to a sound. So find the sound of an air conditioner, a dripping faucet, traffic, something you can just relax and try to tune into.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure I can find sound clips on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Or things like that.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. I saw CG, you had a question. Do you want to go ahead, CG?
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Good. How are you, CG?
Good. So,
I forgot about you. We'll come back to you next. Sorry. Go ahead, CG.
So my question today is about money. I, from the beginning of my life, if I may say like that, I use myself to use my savings instead of opening to receive new money. Like, whenever I wanted, not to work for a while to discover myself or whatever, or if I get out of job or whatever, I tend to always use my saving, which can give me like big troubles. And right now it's getting better, but I still had to use my saving. And I want to stop doing that because it's been like a life cycle.
Yes.
So how to open to the new source? I've been trying to work with Abraham Hicks for the past 4 years about money, and I'm really still struggling.
Okay. I am going to, you're a collective member, yes?
Yeah.
I am going to give you a sneak peek at what next week's topic is about, and it's going to solve all your money problems.
Thank you.
Are you ready for it?
I'm expecting something very simple, I'm sure.
It's the most simplest thing you could ever imagine.
Sure.
Okay. Do you have a pen and paper there? You're ready to write this down?
Yes, go ahead.
I have everything I need.
I have everything I need. Okay.
From that vibration, if you're in that vibration all of the time, what do you think will happen with your money?
To tell you the truth, the word need, is stopping me because I feel like I am always in need.
Okay, change the word need to desire.
Okay. Yeah, I prefer, because this word is like, oh, it's like glued in my soul almost, it's like, geez. So, okay.
So can you read between the lines in terms of the power of that statement and the power of that vibration? Or do you want me to give you another hint?
I guess I definitely need another hint.
Okay. Let's say you want to take a trip to Bali to do the world's most expensive yoga training. And let's say it's a $300,000 yoga training. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From the vibration of I have everything that I desire, do you need to figure out how to make the money show up?
No.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's the hardest for me, I think. It's because I'm much less of a control freak. Yeah. But it's true that it's hard to like not wanting to control from where it's coming or where it's going to come, or and only looking inside my own circle of people I know, or and I'm better, but it's hard. It's how
okay, so hang on. First, change the perspective that it's hard, because you don't want to create that reality.
Okay, yes.
So start expressing on your future canvas how easy everything is.
Yeah.
Okay. And next week on the collective call, we are going to dive deep into this knowingness, this understanding that you already have it all, and everything that you desire, it's already done.
Yeah. Yesterday on the call, you said something that was really good. Maybe I would like to share that with everybody. You said that to stop working our way out of lack, but work our way into health, into wealth.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a good one. So I wrote it down, and I used it in my meditation this morning.
You're doing amazing work. You've been in the collective for, I think, 2 months. And like, I'm already seeing the progress for you. Like Isom was talking about.
Yeah, me too.
So much vibrational progress. It's insane.
Yeah, I get it completely. And I thank you for your wonderful help for that.
Yeah, just keep doing more of what you're doing and keep showing up for the calls, and it's all going to keep coming together.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Who wants to have some fun next? Isom, I said I would come back to you, right? And then Melanie, I saw you had a question, so we'll come back to you after Isom. Go ahead, Isom.
I'm good for now.
Oh, you're good for now? That was easy.
Yeah.
All right, Mel, I guess you're up next.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So both Abraham and Neville talk about creation being already finished. The minute you desire something, it's already done.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is, what's left to do is manifest it, and manifesting is lining up with it vibrationally and being ready to receive it, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't really, I kind of saw what you were posting a little bit. I haven't heard fully what you were saying about actually doing the creation and not needing to get into alignment. So I'm curious what new stuff you're
Yeah, it's not about not needing to get into alignment. It's that when you're a fully empowered creator,
yeah.
Right? So right now, let's say you wanted to manifest $50,000. Okay.
That's actually the number that I've been focused on.
Well, it's funny because that's the number we've been using in the collective. And I did a call in the collective a few weeks ago where we've been calling it our $50,000 vibrational bonus. It's the sign up bonus for joining the collective. So right now, sitting in the chair that you're in, if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that $50,000 was going to show up in your bank account tomorrow morning, how would you feel?
Oh, at ease.
Bingo. That emotion you felt right now, that's the vibrational match emotion, right, of the $50,000.
That's not me creating it.
No, but here's the thing. If you fully knew your power, if you fully knew that you could choose it and allow it, and it would show up without a shadow of a doubt, you would automatically fall into that place of relief, which is automatically making you a vibrational match to the experience.
Okay.
Make sense?
But what's the change? What is the what's the delta on this? Like, is it
so from attraction to creation, you mean?
Yeah.
So the notion of attraction is that you're separate from physical reality, and that when you have a desire, synchronicity, inner being, source has to go out and find that thing you want and in some way get it to you, right? That's the mindset notion that most people have when they picture attraction, right? But for me, isn't it just easier to create what you want?
Yes.
Yeah, so there you go. Just create it. You're a powerful creator. You can have anything you want. You can create anything. You create your own reality, as Abe says. Just create it. To me, it feels so much easier to create 5 new clients and have them be exactly who I want them to be than to try to have the universe hopefully go find them and bring them to me. And that's why I like the notion of the canvas, because we're expressing onto our new canvas, right? And you can go even deeper if you want. And everything already exists.
You're not creating these people. You're not going out and like physically producing 5 clients. You're not creating them. You're just lining up with them. The universe is aligning the components and bringing you together, but are you technically creating?
It depends on how you want to perceive the semantics, right? So if you go even deeper into the fabric of reality, everything exists, everything is a frame, like in the frame of a movie, and we're just bouncing from frame to frame to frame to frame to frame. So when I say creating, what I really mean is we're jumping to the frame, right, of the experience that we're embodying.
Right, okay, I see. That sounds cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. Does that help? Is that where you want it to go?
That clears it up.
Cool. You got to get in the collective. You'd have some fun with us.
Yeah, I have to get in on that.
Cool. All right. Thanks for your question. All right. Carmen, did I see your hand go up? Did you have a question? I just jumped that. Okay. So anybody else have another question? Michelle, is that your hand up?
No, but I did have a statement that has been working for me, not unlike your statement. I have everything I need. May I share?
Yeah, go for it.
So I use Ho'oponopono sometimes as well, but I've always kind of tripped over the forgive me and I'm sorry part, because why am I sorry?
Yeah, but inner being never forgives you because it never has a need to forgive.
Exactly. So I was in a hurry to get somewhere and the traffic was ridiculous. And I found myself getting into the vibration of being mad about traffic and people driving like idiots. And I was like, you jerk, blah, blah. And I thought that, you know what, that's not what I want. That's not the vibration I want to create, because I'm just going to create even more. Yeah. So I thought, well, what do I want? And like your statement, it was, everything's always working out for me. Thank you. I love you. And you know how when you use oh my God, a navigation system, it tells you the time you're going to arrive. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be like 10 minutes late. I just kept repeating over and over and over again. Thank you. I love you. Everything's working out for me. Everything's about everyone around me, because everybody looked as mad as me. And so I was like, well, you know what? Everything's working out for all of us. Thank you. I love you. And I got there, I knocked 10 minutes off my drive. Like when I looked at the creation of what time I was going to arrive there based on the vibration of when I got in my car to the vibration of everything's working out for us. Thank you. I love you. I knocked 10 minutes off.
Awesome. Piece of cake, right?
Yeah. Yes. It was awesome. So I'm using that all the time now, and it's fine. And it calms me down when I'm going down the wrong vibration. It just kind of recenters me and puts me in appreciation.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Cool. Michelle, did I see your hand go up there? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so I think for the longest time, I just thought that, alignment was a vibration, like kind of like when you find alignment and you're maintaining that, and your alignment is dominant throughout your day, more so than wobble, more so than not being in alignment, that is a creating factor, that is you in the creator seat. However, I came across, I don't know if it was in the e-course or a video you posted. It was a good video, but it was talking about the difference between vibration and alignment, and how, you need to know the difference. Yeah. And I was like, and it makes sense. So are we stating here that when you do find your alignment, when you do realize alignment, when it's no longer conceptual and that feeling, so to speak, that is not what you will attract, your point of attraction? So what is the vibe? What would you classify the vibration of alignment to be in that case then?
So anytime you feel good, you're in alignment. So okay. The benchmark of alignment is by how good you feel. Now, vibrational match is based on your focus point, on the emotions you feel, and the perspectives you carry. So somebody can be really happy and be in super alignment, but still have a belief that money is the root of all evil, which creates split energy, which keeps money away.
Okay.
So that's the difference between alignment and vibration. Alignment is simply about feeling good, which connects you to your inner being. Vibration is what dictates your physical reality experience. Vibration is what you're portraying onto your canvas. So if you can be happy and still believe that you're not good enough, right?
When I'm in tune with my inner being and when I'm basking and feeling bliss, those thoughts aren't really dominant though, but you're saying that, but the belief can still be there. When it's time to make that move in the physical, it would come from the place of those dominant beliefs, is what you're stating. Those dominant vibrations, regardless of.
Your actions are an indicator of what you truly believe and perceive. So let's say you want to join the collective and you say, oh, I'm going to sign up next month when a client shows up. I'm going to sign up next month when my client shows up. I'm going to sign up next month when my client shows up. Guess what? Your client's never going to show up, because in that present moment, you're expressing the vibration, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. So your reality is not going to change, right? So our actions, and this is a very important thing, A, you need to choose the reality you want, and B, you need to act on it. And if you're not acting on something that excites you and that you desire, then that's a sign that your beliefs still need some work. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
I'm going to let you ponder on that for a bit.
Thank you.
All right, Megan, I saw you had a question about split energy. Where are you kicking at, Megan?
Yeah, so I've just I've realized that that's, I think, my issue a lot. Just like in the discussion. What's that?
You and the rest of the planet. Keep going.
Well, and I guess and I know I've heard the term and know what it is. I think just that it's not really come up, and then in the last few weeks, I think it has. And so I guess my question is, how do you deal with it? Like when you realize that it's kind of that, I want it, I don't want it, I want it, I don't want it.
Okay, so first let me properly explain what split energy is on the call so that everybody understands. So split energy is when part of you wants something, part of you doesn't. So let's say you're in your first long-term relationship, your partner was very controlling, borderline abusive. He wouldn't allow you to do the things that you wanted. He was very needy and controlling. After that relationship ends, your subconscious mind says, holy shit, if I'm in a relationship, I can't do the things that I want to do. Now, part of you wants a relationship because you want to get married and have babies. A part of you, the other part of you, often subconscious, is now afraid of relationships because you're afraid that when you're in a relationship, you can't do what you want. That's split energy. Part of you wants it, part of you doesn't, and that confuses the universe and they don't know what to do anymore. So you end up not manifesting anything. In the context of relationships, it typically plays out as a self-sabotaging behavior so that when you get into a relationship, you start to mess it up. Or it's like you've got this invisible wall and you can't attract a partner no matter how much time you spend on Tinder. Right. Okay, go ahead, Megan. So we're talking about overcoming split energy now, right?
Right. So like certainly with relationships, that's me because I am like, I put up a wall because I'm like, yeah, he's going to turn out to be a dick and I'd rather be home with my dog and I don't even have a dog. Like that ends up being my attitude. And it's the same thing with money that I didn't really even realize. Like with the $50,000 bonus we were talking about, it immediately brings relief thinking about it. Then all of a sudden it becomes a burden. It stresses me out, you know. Yeah, so it's like, well, yeah, the money's not going to come if suddenly I'm stressed about it. Yeah, I may well just stay comfortably stressed in what I know than have a burden of a lot of money.
Yeah, so the way we work through split energy is obviously by dealing with the fear, right? So the first step is identifying the fear. So the way we identify the fear is by asking that question, you know, what must I believe is true to feel unsafe, right? Another way to do it is if I did manifest the money or if the relationship did show up, how does that feel unsafe? What's the worst thing that could happen? And so that's the first step, which will flesh out the fears. Then once you fleshed out the fears, the next step is working through them, right? So I believe the second step is working through those fears.
Okay.
Right? So I feel like, you know, what's my fear? My fear is that if I'm in a relationship, I'll get cheated on. Well, why do I believe that's true? Well, every relationship I've ever been in, I've been cheated on. Well, Nick's never been cheated on. So if it's not true for him, why is it true for you? Right? So those are some little playful reframing techniques you can use. And maybe in the next collective call, if we have time, we can do some clearing work on it too.
Okay.
How does that sound? Does that feel like did that go where you want it to go?
Yeah. I mean, it's also like what Kimberly was saying, I think last week, the whole like, it's true for everybody else, but not for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what I relate to her a lot. Like we talk a lot offline because we feel the same way. Like, well, we see it around with everybody else, but not for ourselves. So like you can tell me all day long that, well, I've never been cheated on or this happened for me and all these other people. Well, of course it did.
Yeah. So it's about working yourself out of that expectation, that perspective.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd have a blast digging into that. So I would suggest next call, if we have some time, next call or the call after that, let's do some clearing work around fears.
Okay. All right.
Does that help?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, use those probing statements, right? What must I believe is true to feel this way? I feel this way because, you know, this feels unsafe because, you know, those are the key probing statements we've been using. And if you need a refresher, just post in the collective Facebook group and I can type those statements up again.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks.
Actually, if you even do it on paper and see how far you get, and then send me the screenshot
yeah.
if you want.
Okay.
Cool?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for sharing. All right, go ahead, Nina. Oh, you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. It's good to see you again.
Good.
So I actually started reading the book you suggested yesterday. It's very interesting and very helpful.
Good. Which one was that? Was that The Journey of Souls as well?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So I want to ask you something about, you said in a previous video that be very specific about manifesting like a partner, like a soulmate.
Yeah.
So my question is like, could this mean that I'm being very picky? And in terms of law of attraction, is it like too conditional? And I think I have the same fear when it comes to money. Like I wanna win the lottery. So is that too conditional to happen, or like because I want something very specific in my mind, and I'm afraid that because it's specific, it's bad at the same time.
No, people think that the more specific you get, the harder it is to manifest, right? But in reality, the more specific you get, the more momentum it creates. I talk about that in my next book. Anik, she manifested me, and she had written down 50 things, and I matched 48 out of those 50 things.
I remember that.
Right?
I remember that.
So you want to keep getting as specific as possible as long as it continues to feel good. If you're getting specific and it starts to create fear, if it starts to create negative emotion, then you want to take a step back and work through those things before you get more specific. But again, the more specific and the more excitement it creates, the better.
And that goes for everything, or
Everything.
just
Everything.
So what's the thing that Abraham talks about being conditional about what you're trying to manifest?
She says to go general, right? So she says if you start to get too specific and it starts to feel good, it starts to feel off, it starts to create wobble for you, that's when you want to step away and go more general.
So the conditional has to do with it feels uncomfortable, so step back. Is that it?
Yeah, if it starts to feel uncomfortable, that means you're starting to create resistance.
Okay, I got it. Now I get it. Wow, thank you.
Good, you're welcome. Good. All right, did I see any other? Dilruba? I hope I'm saying your name okay. Dilruba, go ahead.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, you said it fine. Sorry, just I'm with my kid. So I have a few questions. First, I have a question about the acted when you are acted as if you are already in that state.
Yeah.
So how does it, like when you are not in your not the full potential, or I would say like you don't have the fund, suppose.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that you are like I would sign up when my clients, I get my next client, right?
Yes.
And if you don't have actually the fund to get your ultimate desire fulfilled, like it's not for the collective sign up, but I want to go for an Abraham Hicks cruise, but you don't have the fund, but that's your like the ultimate desire. How do you do that? Like,
so people talk about acting as if.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with acting as if is typically when you try to act as if, you're also activating the lack of that desire. It's very hard to tune into acting as if while not noticing the absence of that desire. So what you want to do is you want to do an embodiment process. So what you want to do is jump to a point where you're already on that cruise and identify what that version of you who already exists, who's already on that cruise, what does that version of you feel like? What does she think? How does she act? What are the emotions she's feeling? And what you want to do is you want to spend your time embodying those feeling states. And if you go to my website, I've got a specific meditation for this. It's called the embodiment meditation. And it's at nickbro.com/embody.
Okay, that brings up my next question about like visualization. So what's the difference between daydreaming and visualizing? Because when you're visualizing, you supposed to believe that, right?
It's not about believing it, it's about feeling it. Feeling is the fuel. Emotion is energy in motion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the fuel that's going to power manifestation is the emotions you're feeling. And it doesn't matter whether you daydream, visualize, speak it out loud, write it down. The number one metric you want to use for the effectiveness of the exercise is the emotion you're feeling while you're doing it. Keep in mind, however, the gods of manifestation are watching. And if they know you're doing it to try to achieve an outcome rather than to just feel good, it's probably not going to get you very far.
Well, that's kind of contradict my next thing. It's like I'm a very imaginative and creative person. I used to just daydream about this and that and everything. So how do you define a person is, suppose they are just daydreaming about feeling good about dating a celebrity per se, like they're just dating someone, maybe Brad Pitt, okay, just for say. So,
really, Brad Pitt, really?
No, I'm not obsessed about him. No, I would actually date with Henry Cavill, but okay. So if they are just daydreaming and feeling good,
yeah,
how it's gonna be like work out like that? Like, is it gonna be manifest in that way, or it's gonna be
you will manifest the equivalent of how you're feeling. But here's the thing: if you're attached, it needs to be Brad Pitt, and Tom Cruise shows up, then you're not going to see Tom Cruise showing up.
Say it again, please.
Okay. If you set your intent, it has to be Brad Pitt. Okay? And you're in the emotional state that's a vibrational match to Brad Pitt or close, but you're not quite there. And let's say Tom Cruise shows up and you're a vibrational match to Tom Cruise. If you're attached to it being Brad Pitt, then you're not going to notice Tom Cruise sitting there asking for your phone number.
Right. Okay.
That's the problem with attachment.
So it's going to be like, it's not going to pop up to me like, okay, he's Tom Cruise. Why aren't you just going with him, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah, because the experience is just as good, but you're so focused on this conscious, irrational belief that it needs to be Brad Pitt.
Okay. So how about like you set your all intentions, like Anik actually made all those 50 lists. So one of the thing is like, it needs to be Brad Pitt. How do you define in that? Do you get it? Like more specific. So how do you define?
Yeah, if you want to get that specific, get that specific. Anything's manifestable, but you need to be able to believe that you can manifest that.
There comes the belief again.
That's a big vibrational gap to jump, right? People who want to manifest money, sure, you can try to manifest $1 billion, but guess what? It's going to be a whole lot easier to manifest 10,000.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Because it's a bigger vibrational gap to jump. So yeah, it's possible. Can you pull it off? So that's up to you. That's your belief system.
All right. So I'm just taking a note, like daydreaming and visualizing, the difference is you have to have the feeling, and you don't need to be that specific until you don't believe it, right?
You want to keep getting as specific as possible as long as it continues to feel good.
Okay. All right.
Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. And okay. So yeah, going back to the Abraham Hicks cruise topic, like if you visualize you are in the cruise and you are having like you're in the hot seat and talking to Abraham Hicks and having good time.
Yeah.
Keep visualizing it. The ticket and everything comes in front of you, like you are browsing and there comes the
visualizing doesn't matter.
ad.
Here's the two things that matter. One is how you feel when you're doing the visualization. And second, you don't care whether it happens or not.
Okay.
That's the key.
So you just, well, that makes the daydreaming. Like you don't care about it happens or not. You just feel good about when you are visualizing it, right?
Then start planning your flights. You're already there.
Thank you. That feels a lot better.
Yay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Gloria. So you got a question? Go ahead, Gloria.
Hey there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So earlier I was playing with the "What must I believe" process because I realized that I had an issue that had come up a lot over life that I haven't, and this just happened earlier today, so I'm still playing with that and trying to dig into it a little bit. Issues where I would just, things would just build and build and build and build when things would go wrong, and I wasn't able to calm down enough or look at the situation enough to, it would be very self-destructive almost, not self-destructive, but self-sabotaging. And so I was playing with your "What must I believe" technique, and all of a sudden it just went, somewhere at the back of that is that it didn't feel safe to acknowledge my feelings.
Okay, yeah, which
and
is
then as soon as I hit that, it almost felt like that just deflated.
Yeah.
So, but then I got a little bit like anxious, and so it's like I backed off of it a little bit. So I'm going to play with it a little bit more.
That's okay. That's the game. Remember, emotions are like a tree structure, right?
Yep.
So at the surface, you might be feeling not good enough, and there might be a couple of nodes under that, then maybe a few nodes over here, and it's about working down through the nodes. And as you rectify these nodes, which you did a little bit of today, then you can work your way back up the chain, and eventually it's all going to be gone.
Yes. Well, I was really grateful that I was actually able to grab onto that process when I started having, I'm like, I need to dig into trying figuring out how to, get rid of that situation, because it's like, I don't, it's when, because when you get into it, it's just like that spiral, and it just kept getting tighter and tighter and worse, and you couldn't see.
Yeah.
And I was using the process, and I was like, what must I believe? And it's like, okay, so it wasn't safe. And I went, oh, and well, that was kind of silly, and I don't even know where that came from, and I don't need to know.
Yeah.
But it just kind of deflated that whole layer, so that I, like you said, I can start working now on the next thing. So I just kind of wanted to.
Totally. Yeah, and that process is never going to end, right?
Right.
We all have fears. We all have emotions. Don't ever expect to ever get it done. How does Abe say it? You can never get it done, or something like that. Anyways.
Right.
So
right.
don't reach for this place of perfection where you believe that you're never going to have something clear ever again. So go easy on yourself and keep going with whatever next layer comes up, whatever next layer comes up, whatever next layer comes up.
And it was more on allowing myself to move up to the next level, because back in January, I manifested a new job that paid 40% more, and it had all these benefits and everything else. But then just a month or two ago, I realized I was starting to get into that spiral again, because it was pretty stressful. I'm, dealing with the clients and stuff. And when things go bad, I don't like that, of course, want to fix it. And sometimes when you can't right away, and I caught myself, and I'm like, I've got to work on that one, because I manifested this job, and now I'm ready to move on to the next one, because it's like, okay, that was great, and that was great about it, but I don't quite like not being given the resources to fix the client's problems. So it's like, so I want to manifest something that has a little bit more feel-good potential on it. So anyway, so that led me to, realizing that that's what I was doing. And it's like, okay, if I can deflate that, then maybe I can start moving back up to and level up again.
Totally. And that statement that I shared with CG earlier that we're going to explore in the collective next week, I think you're going to benefit from that a lot too.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. All right, I don't see any hands up anywhere as I'm clicking through. Anybody have a question? If so, just type the word question in the chat window or wave or say something. If not, that might be the end of the call. Yeah, go ahead, Isam.
Okay, so I feel like based on your 5-step scale of emotions that I've been in relief and satisfaction pretty consistently for the past month. I want to be able to get to turned on and into bliss more consistently.
Yeah.
But when I hear you answer questions, to me, it sounds like there's always a push and pull, a give and a take. You don't want to do too much of one thing because it's going to give you this type of results, or you want to be able to be detailed and specific, and you also want to choose and have decided with also having a type of detachment.
So
As somebody,
here's what you want to do. Throw everything out the window and spend 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks just doing whatever the fuck feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it that simple. Right?
Okay.
And really that's what we're moving towards. So like, you know, Bashar the channel, he says that the complete toolkit is simply following your excitement to the best of your ability with no anticipation of what the outcome needs to be. And for those of you who know Bashar Society, they live purely off the mechanism of synchronicity. They have no need for money or currency or exchange because they're so reliant on the mechanism of synchronicity for everything. Everything just works out.
Okay. Okay, I could do that.
Yeah, us as humans, we're tied to like achieving and working into things and efforting and all that stuff. And for me, and I said this on the call yesterday, the biggest difference between an amateur manifester and a professional manifester is your ability to rely on the mechanism of synchronicity. Right? And the more you allow yourself to rely on that mechanism, the more that gives you permission to follow that excitement.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, it helps. The best thing that I heard from the Elin tapes was one where he was talking about action, and how you want to find and identify and articulate what excites you, and then take that action and take that next action. So this lines up with that.
And that excitement, that action, you know, it's not always going to be the most grandiose thing in the world. It might be take a nap, right? So it's just about checking in. What's my highest excitement right now?
Nick, you're frozen.
Oh, am I frozen for everybody? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
Now,
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So, shoot, I lost my train of thought. So, with excitement, your excitement's never always going to be the biggest, most grandiose thing in the world. It could be something as simple as taking a nap or going for a walk down the street. Your excitement might be to email Brad Pitt. So, like, don't try to figure out what your excitement is. Just acknowledge what's my highest excitement right now and follow that excitement just because that's the exciting thing to do.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions lined up for anybody? CG, you got a question? Go ahead, CG.
Yes, maybe it's maybe it follows that last conversation, or maybe I did not understand everything or followed everything. But how can you tell if you're in action or in alignment? That is always like a tricky.
You mean efforting versus inspired action, right?
Well, I mean, sometimes I make action that, you know, are not efforting, but I'm making actions.
So here's the key benchmark that I use. Am I taking that action because it feels good and it's fun and exciting, or am I taking that action to try to accomplish something? And if the answer is I'm doing it because it's fun and exciting and I don't care what the output's going to be or the end result's going to be, then it's typically inspired. If I'm doing it to achieve something, if I would not achieve that thing, would I still take the action? And if the answer is no, then it's probably efforted and out of alignment.
So So what you're saying is that if I take actions, I have somehow not really care about the result at the end?
Correct. You want to take an action just because it feels good.
Oh, okay, great. That's wonderful. That's a good one.
Awesome, good. Thanks, Kiki. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hey, so when it comes down to Elan and Bashar and just many others that you've mentioned as well, when we get down to this action and the mechanism of synchronicity and actually following the inspired action, would you say in your experience that you found it to be like completely and totally on point, moment to moment, and that, for instance, like my job has mandatory overtime right now, 10 hours, like no problem doing it. It's no problem. I'm thankful for my job, but at the same time, to actually go do it right now is not inspired. It's really doing it because I would have to. Would you say that you find in your experience that Bashar, it's to the T every moment following that inspired action, not in spite of or not coming from a vindictive or a hateful place, just truthful and honest in each moment and following it?
Remember that Bashar is evolved way beyond where we were evolved, right? So
correct.
Bashar is in that empowered place where he can just choose his desires and he's going to experience it, right? As humans, we have no idea how powerful we really are. We're probably like 1% in our power. So as a human, you know, we're treading a finer line when it comes to some of those decision making. So can you decide not to go into your job and get fired? Sure. Is that exciting? Probably not, right? So you still need to take into consideration, you know, where your belief systems are. So if you're in a belief system where I can follow my excitement and I can not go to work and everything's going to work out so magically for me, then absolutely do that. But, you know, most people aren't up to speed with their belief systems to the point where they can follow excitement to that level. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it boils down to probably just like doing whatever excites you with what's available. So like in my situation, I don't have to get the overtime in tonight. I have the rest of the week to do so. So like technically I can follow that excitement. So it just boils down to what's available that's comfortable. Like you're not going to do anything that's.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And again, when you feel so, you know, what you're talking about aligns with like people who are in vibrations of feeling like stuck and powerless, right? Mm-hmm. So when you feel like you have to do something you don't want to do, then that's a reason to explore those beliefs, right? So whenever those, mm-hmm. if there's a feeling of, oh shit, I got to go to work. I don't want to go to work, but I'm going to go anyways. Then there's something to explore there, right? Mm-hmm. So our physical reality through the excitement is always mm-hmm. pushing us to discomfort to help us bring up and explore those things within ourselves that we want to shift so that we can become more of who we really are. Does that help?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You don't want to put yourself in a situation. Like, I'm not telling people to go and spend all your money on a Ferrari tomorrow, right, when you don't have the money for it. So it's about walking that fine line where you want to push yourself as far as you can, but at the same time, not push yourself too far where you've created too much fear, too much wobble, and then you're going to create momentum in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
It does. I guess I just have to start taking more action. You get to a point where you can see so many different versions of this that it's just like, that you just have to start following your intuition and acting.
Absolutely. Everybody needs to start taking more action. What people don't understand is that we are driven by excitement. Excitement is the highest form of guidance from our inner being. But we are also going to be guided to things that are exciting, but also kind of scary. And that's done on purpose because the reason it's guiding us to things that are scary is because the only reason they're scary is because it's shit we want to clear, we need to deal with. So instead of moving into following our excitement and dealing with our shit, everybody's sitting on their stool going, screw that, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. But when you decide to do that, you're not growing, you're not expanding, and you're not going to manifest a whole lot more. That's a big deal in this whole money thing, right? I just signed up and work with this super high-end coach, a lot of money. I didn't have the money for it, but I was sitting there going, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? I can't not do it. And as soon as I signed up within the following week, a whole bunch of income came in from new clients, right? And a lot of people are stuck in this lack money mindset because they're so busy. Oh, I'll do it when the money shows up. I'll do it when the money shows up. Well, they're too busy being stuck in that comfort zone. They're not allowing themselves to work through the fears and work through the things that are going to allow the money to show up in the first place.
Action, action, action. Take more action. That's really why, one can consume for so many years.
But
is because of lack of action.
Don't take action for the sake of action. Get into alignment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then
inspired excitement, alignment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, or have we finished things off for tonight? Clicking through. I don't see anybody waving. I don't see any hand buttons. Going once. Okay, Delubra, do you have one final question to wrap things up?
Yeah. I have one question that when you are trying to heal or fix some wobble inside of you, like when you are saying like you were just listing out, and once you are not feeling good, one of the list about, and you kind of want to clear it up and work on your belief system. So how long or how many times you want to work on one belief system? Suppose it's money. Like money is
So first of all, it's never about healing or fixing, because nothing is ever broken. It's just a practice vibration. So First understand that what you're perceiving as a block is not a block. It's just a practice vibration. When it comes to clearing, everybody's different. So one person might have 2 money blocks. One person might have 20 money blocks. One person might hold on to their blocks very tightly. One person might have all their blocks at the surface. Everybody's different. For me, when I work with clients, I typically work with somebody for 3 months, and 90% of those 3 months is clearing work. And it typically takes the average person somewhere between 8 to 10 sessions before alignment goes from effort to ease.
Got it. 8 to 10 sessions. Wow.
On average, everybody's different. Some people I end up doing 12 or 14 sessions. Some people the quickest I've seen is about 6 or 7. But again, everybody's different. It depends on how tightly you hold on to your stuff, how much power you give to your inner critic. Everybody's different.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks so much.
No problem. All right, so unless I see any final hands up tonight, I think that is it. So that's it for tonight. So the recording will be up on YouTube tomorrow. For those of you who are not in the collective, if you enjoyed this call, if you enjoyed yesterday's call, that's just a teaser. We do this 6 times a month in the collective. It's less than $100 a month. You will not get this amount of vibrational shifting, whatever you want to call it, for that amount of money anywhere, I can almost guarantee it. If you do want to join, send me a message. We'll get you that Trial the Collective code. nickbro.com/Trial the Collective. Would love to have you guys join us. Again, thanks for tuning in. And the next free call will probably be, late in the winter, so maybe in about 4 or 5 months' time. Thanks for tuning in again, and bye for now.